White sugar. White sugar became widely available in Europe after sugarcane plantations expanded in the Caribbean during the 1600s and 1700s. It is usually made from sugarcane or sugar beets, which are crushed or sliced to extract juice. The liquid is filtered, evaporated, crystallized, and then refined until most molasses is removed. In many countries, refined white sugar must meet purity standards of around 99.8% sucrose. Its flavor is clean, neutral, and fast-dissolving, which makes it useful in baking, drinks, candy, and sauces. Because it adds sweetness without strong aroma, it became the standard sugar of industrial food production. Brown sugar. Brown sugar is closely tied to the older sugar trade, before modern refining removed almost all molasses from crystals. It is made either by leaving some natural molasses on partially refined sugar or by adding molasses back to refined white sugar. Light brown sugar usually contains about 3.5% molasses, while dark brown sugar can contain around 6.5%. The molasses gives it a moist texture, soft clumps, and notes of caramel, smoke, and minerals. In baking, brown sugar attracts moisture, helping cookies stay chewy and cakes remain softer. Its flavor is deeper than white sugar, but its sweetness still comes mostly from sucrose. Raw sugar. Raw sugar is often marketed as less processed, but it is still a crystallized sugar product. It comes from sugarcane juice that has been clarified, evaporated, and spun in centrifuges, leaving a thin coating of molasses around the crystals. Turbinado and Demerara are two famous raw-style sugars, both known for large golden crystals. The name turbinado comes from the turbine-like centrifuge used during processing. Raw sugar is not the same as unprocessed cane juice, because it has still been heated and crystallized. Its texture is crunchy, its color is pale amber, and its flavor has mild honey, caramel, and grassy cane notes. Powdered sugar. Powdered sugar, also called confectioner's sugar or icing sugar, was developed for fine-textured desserts that needed sugar to dissolve quickly. It is made by grinding refined white sugar into a very fine powder, then mixing it with a small amount of anti-caking agent, usually cornstarch. Commercial powdered sugar is often labeled by fineness, such as 10x, meaning it has been ground extremely small. The added starch helps prevent clumping but can slightly affect texture in glazes and frostings. Powdered sugar feels soft, dry, and almost chalky on the tongue. It is essential for buttercream, royal icing, dusted pastries, and smooth dessert coatings. Castor sugar. Castor sugar sits between granulated sugar and powdered sugar in crystal size. It became especially common in British and Australian baking, where recipes often require sugar that dissolves faster than standard granulated sugar without turning into powder. It is made by milling refined sugar into smaller, even crystals. Because the grains are fine, castor sugar blends easily into whipped egg whites, sponge cakes, meringues, and delicate batters. It does not usually contain starch, unlike powdered sugar, so it keeps a cleaner sweetness. Its texture is sandy and light, and its main advantage is control. It dissolves quickly while still behaving like crystalline sucrose in baking. Demerara sugar. Demerara sugar takes its name from the Demerara region of Guyana, once a major sugar-producing area under Dutch and British colonial control. Today, Demerara-style sugar can be produced in several countries, but it remains associated with large amber crystals and a mild molasses coating. It is made from cane juice that is evaporated and crystallized with less refining than white sugar. The crystals are dry, coarse, and crunchy, making them popular as a topping for muffins, crumbles, and coffee. Its flavor is less intense than dark brown sugar, with notes of toffee and light caramel. It adds texture as much as sweetness. Muscovado sugar. Muscovado sugar is one of the least refined forms of cane sugar, with a long history in colonial sugar production. The name likely comes from older Spanish or Portuguese terms connected to unrefined sugar. It is made by evaporating sugarcane juice until crystals form, while much of the natural molasses remains. Unlike brown sugar, which may be refined sugar mixed with molasses, Muscovado keeps a more integrated, sticky structure. It is dark, moist, and strongly aromatic, with flavors of licorice, burnt caramel, dried fruit, and minerals. Because of its high molasses content, it can make cakes, sauces, and marinades richer and darker. Palm sugar. Palm sugar has been produced for centuries across Southeast Asia, South Asia, and parts of Africa. It is made from the sap of palm trees such as coconut palm, date palm, or palmyra palm. Farmers cut the flower stalk and collect the sweet sap, then boil it down until it thickens and solidifies into blocks, discs, or granules. In Indonesia, Thailand, Cambodia, and India, palm sugar is used in curries, desserts, sauces, and drinks. Its flavor depends on the palm species and cooking time, but it often tastes smoky, earthy, and caramel-like. Compared with refined sugar, it has a darker color and more complex aroma. Coconut sugar. Coconut sugar is made from the sap of the coconut palm flower, not from the coconut fruit itself. It became more widely marketed in the 2000s as interest grew in less refined sweeteners. The sap is collected by tapping unopened flower buds, then heated until most water evaporates and the syrup crystallizes. Coconut sugar is mostly sucrose, with smaller amounts of glucose and fructose. Its brown color comes from natural caramelization during heating. It has a coarse texture and a flavor similar to toasted caramel, butterscotch, and light molasses. In Southeast Asian cooking, it is valued not only for sweetness but also for depth in sauces and desserts. Maple sugar. Maple sugar comes from the sap of maple trees, especially the sugar maple, Acer saccharum, native to northeastern North America. Indigenous peoples were producing maple syrup and maple sugar long before European colonists arrived. The process begins in late winter or early spring, when freeze-thaw cycles make sap flow through the tree. The sap is collected and boiled until water evaporates. If evaporation continues beyond syrup, it becomes granulated maple sugar. It takes roughly 40 liters of sap to make 1 liter of syrup, and even more concentration to make sugar. Maple sugar has a dry, crumbly texture and flavors of wood, vanilla, caramel, and smoke. Molasses. Molasses is not a dry sugar, but it is one of the most important byproducts of sugar production. It forms when sugarcane or sugar beet juice is boiled and crystallized. After crystals are removed, the remaining dark syrup is molasses. First molasses is lighter and sweeter, second molasses is darker, and blackstrap molasses comes from the final boiling. Blackstrap has a bitter, mineral-heavy flavor and contains more iron, calcium, and potassium than refined sugar, though it is still used in small amounts. Molasses became central to rum production in the Caribbean during the 1600s. Its texture is thick and sticky, with flavors of smoke, licorice, and burnt caramel. Honey. Honey is one of humanity's oldest sweeteners, with evidence of honey collections shown in ancient rock paintings from Spain dated to around 8,000 years ago. It is made by bees from flower nectar. Bees enzymatically transform the nectar, reduce its water content, and store it in wax honeycombs. Most honey contains fructose and glucose, with small amounts of acids, enzymes, minerals, and aromatic compounds from flowers. Legal standards in many countries define honey as a natural product that should not have added sugars or syrups. Its flavor changes dramatically by source. Clover honey is mild, buckwheat honey is dark and malty, and orange blossom honey is floral and fragrant. High fructose corn syrup. High fructose corn syrup was developed in the 20th century after Japanese scientist Yoshiyuki Takasaki helped advance enzymatic methods for converting glucose into fructose in the 1960s. It is made from cornstarch, which is broken into glucose syrup, then treated with enzymes to convert some glucose into fructose. The most common types are HFCS 4,2, used in processed foods, and HFCS 5,5, used in soft drinks. It became popular in the United States during the 1970s because corn was abundant and sugar prices were higher. It is liquid, easy to transport, and blends smoothly into beverages. Its sweetness is clean, strong, and slightly rounder than pure glucose syrup. Agave syrup. Agave syrup comes from agave plants native to Mexico, especially blue agave, the same plant used for tequila. Traditional agave sweeteners existed long before modern commercial syrup, but today's agave syrup is usually produced by extracting juice from the plant core, then breaking complex carbohydrates into simpler sugars. It is especially high in fructose, often higher than honey or table sugar. This gives it intense sweetness and a low tendency to crystallize. Agave syrup became popular in health food markets during the late 20th and early 21st centuries, partly because it dissolves easily in cold drinks. Its texture is smooth and pourable, with a mild flavor similar to light honey. Date sugar. Date sugar is made from whole dried dates rather than extracted juice or refined crystals. Dates have been cultivated in the Middle East and North Africa for more than 5,000 years, especially around ancient Mesopotamia and Egypt. To make date sugar, ripe dates are dried and ground into a coarse powder. Because it contains the whole fruit, it includes fiber, minerals, and tiny fruit particles. This also means it does not dissolve like white sugar, making it better for baking, toppings, and spice blends than for clear drinks. Its flavor is rich and fruity, with notes of caramel, raisin, and brown butter. It adds both sweetness and a dense, earthy texture.